It is 2 p.m. and this means it's time for a new episode of Starter Frame 1! Hello everybody out there. I'm very happy to be here today. Glad you could make it. Surprise, surprise, look at that. Now I'm big here. This is a new layout. I'm experimenting. Normally I will be down there. Don't worry, I go down there so you can see the animation process. But before we get into this, so happy to announce that we have our first artist, our first musician for this episode. It's a duet from Germany. They call Bolz and Knecht. You can check out their homepage and get their music, support them. Very lovely music here for this episode. So thanks a lot for the guys to help me out here. If you are a musician and want to support or want some kind of exposure, you don't have that much exposure yet on Starter Frame 1, but we're working on that. So give me a mail, or write me a comment, whatever. Get in touch with me, and I will be more than happy to feature your music wherever I can during the stream. If you like that, I'm waiting. So that said, I think we could jump in to the animation, and I'm going in my corner. So let's see. The naughty glove is on. So if you have any questions, doubts, opinions, or whatsoever that is related to animation or whatever we do in the stream, feel free to drop a line in the chat. And of course, I have to address the very serious topic of someone who wants to make a name in the World Wide Web. If you like this content, give me a like on the video, follow, subscribe, hit the bell. There are tons of buttons, just at least push one. If not, that doesn't matter. Just enjoy the animation process. I'm fine with that too. Happy I am your procrastination of choice for today. So wherever you are, at work, at home, glad you made it. So let's take a look of what we gonna do today. If you haven't joined before, we did some work before the stream, and this is our reference. We are gonna do a kickflip animation, all hand drawn, frame by frame. This was done in a previous episode, so if you're interested in this process, just go to the channel and check out the other video. Okay, we did the first draft of this animation applied to our character we have here. This is Tentacle Boy. I tried to get the pronunciation right this time. It's not Tentacle Boy, as some of my fellow Germans would also pronounce it. No, it's Tentacle Boy. And now, after four episodes, we actually know that those little tentacle things are called suckers. So today we're gonna animate some suckers as well. All right, let's see what we got so far. We have adapted all the poses from our reference to our illustration here. It's pretty rough, but we get an idea of the movement. It looks all right, I think. And today I think we're gonna refine some of those drawings and see to which level we can add the details of our final render. So let's see. Here, let's scroll through this in slow motion. Bam, bush, and we could finish off the drawings here, just to make sure we have our whole animation. So see. We should probably add some skateboard. And this can be done. Or for the people that haven't joined before and or are wondering where we are animating in, this is Photoshop. And Photoshop is not actually an animation software. It was adapted to animation. So in order to actually really do frame by frame animation, you want to download a script called animate. You can find it in the script description of the video. Actually, as I'm still trying to wrap my head around all this streaming stuff, probably right now it says something like, today we're gonna do some walk cycle, because at some point I put that in the caption of the video and I'm not really able to get it out. I'm working on that. But as soon as this video is finished, I'm gonna edit the caption of the video and you're gonna have the link for animate as well. So animate gives you this task bar here, which allows you to create easily new animation layers, get some onion skin to make sure you see your previous and next frames, and have a more convenient workflow when you do your frame by frame animation. So, okay. So now you see, thanks to the onion skin, I can see a very transparent version of my previous image here. This right now it's not really necessary. The onion skin is very helpful when you want to draw in-betweens or just want to draw the next pose and need some reference from your previous drawing. Then you want to activate your onion skin to make sure you see the previous or next frames, whatever you need. Okay, let's see. Now we want to have our reference. Let's lower the opacity here. So here, animate gets me the option just to add another drawing, which automatically is 1 frame. We're gonna extend it to 2 frames. So let's see what we are doing here now. Okay, we start with our torso, and what he basically does is rotating back the torso to its original, or to its frontal position. Right now he's trying to, you see here, now we have the impact, and now he's trying to recompensate the force with which he came down and pushed his left shoulder to the front. And here he starts to rotating back again. Okay. So. So the tentacles are a little bit too high, as we want to have a little bit of space for his beanie. Okay. And the legs or the feet also just kind of rotate. So we start to only see the front of the feet. And here we're gonna get a little bit of problems with the length of the legs, as I'm now just orientating on the reference and not really on the previous image of our tentacle boy. And I'm drawing on the wrong layer. Now we're gonna, okay, this was, I had my background layer activated and drawing on that. Make sure this doesn't happen. Okay. So this one is still a little bit rotated here. So if you want to add in a knee, which is not actually part of our design, the knee is still turned like to this direction here. Which is not the case. Just looking at this part of the animation, here we see the foot from the side, and now it's already from the front, and again from the side, and now we're turning again to the front. So now you see here we would have a jump. You see this? Just looking at that leg. So side, front, side, which will be like notable when you afterwards see the animation, that you have just a weird wiggle in there, which you probably won't be even able to point out, as it's very fast. So let's correct it already. We can bring in our knee just to make it a little bit more easy. Want the leg a little bit more bent. Here we should be more frontal already. Okay. And we're gonna bring in our reference. So now we basically frontal view. Got this covered. I want to bring in my onion skin to make sure I have the volume of the body on the right height, so it's not jumping. And I think we want to see some of the lower part of the volume. And now I want full frontal view of the feet. And the same goes to this one. And tentacles. Okay. All right. Okay. So now we've completed the animation and we are ready to get a little more into details and do the nitty-gritty. So here, the first drawing, we did already quite a good job on the cleanup, as we wanted to make sure that everything looks all right and really nail this first pose to make sure everything is in position. We feel the dynamic of the pose, and from there on we got a little bit more loose. And in the comments section there was a suggestion that maybe he could kick the board even harder, which would mean like we have this leg way more out, as the force here goes like in this direction. So he could probably be already like here. Now what I want to have covered is the arc of the movement. What I mean by that is here let's bring in a new layer here. This is going to be some kind of a guide layer. Get in some. So let's say our foot now goes until this position. Now he's here. 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 And he starts to get down. So what we basically have here is an arc. He starts here, and the movement of the foot goes like this, all right? So having this in mind and wanting to push the pose even further, if I want him to kick the ball harder, to get this effect, I want him to have the leg way more out, or the foot. So I probably want, let's get another color. I want him in this pose. Let's try, we want to have him kicking this until here. This one is also further out, maybe here. And now we have to make sure that those legs, if you imagine like the previous foot should go until this position. And now we continue the animation and the foot is already here. So if we don't change the position of the foot in here, the foot is gonna be still, like it won't move. So we have to make sure to also push this one a little bit further, this one further, and this one. Did I get everything on the... No, I drew the wrong. So this one should be here. Let's get this one here. And here I think we can continue with the poses that we already have. So, okay. Making the same mistake again. I'm not drawing on this, on the correct layer here. Okay, so we gonna have a more extend arc, like so. This makes sense. I hope so. So have this in mind when you have movement. Sometimes you want to get in some guides where you actually mark the positions of certain limbs or some parts of whatever animation it is. I had to do this as well here on this animation. And what I had to mark or to make my guide was the position of the arms. Of the hands. If you look at this, so you see like the curve, those are all arcs. So you want to make sure that you have a consistent arc and not, for example, this drawing being out there, because then you have like a weird movement afterwards. It's gonna wiggle. So always keep in mind the arcs of your animation. And let's try to push it. And when we push it real good. Sorry for that. Yeah. So let's see. Let's duplicate the whole thing so we can compare it later. And I want to use another color. So this foot should already be here. Just erase a little bit of this. I prefer to erase previous drawings by using the eraser tool with a low opacity. So I don't erase everything. And I'm still able to see what I've done before as a kind of a reference how I don't want to do it. This makes sense. This is just the rough animation, so I don't really care if I see sorry, just have to think about how this would bend the leg. See if this works afterwards. Right now it looks totally unrealistic, which doesn't mean that it doesn't work in animation. So we now just try to push it as far as possible, or at least try to experiment where we can push it. What we actually could do, maybe another idea. Just improvising here on the run. We are now trying to stick with the the arc that we got with the animation we did before, but why not get a complete new arc? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions. This is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And start from here. So we started. Get another layer as complete new guide. Bring this just a little bit down. So we start here, and then we want to push it further out, like so. And then even, why not even further? We want to arrive here. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm wondering if we can get some kind of, let's draw something like this. So he pushes it way out, the kickflip, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if, no, they're too high. So this position, the foot would be here. This one would be here. I hope, just stay with me. I'll see. Okay. So then we have here, maybe here. We see on the run, like now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's just try this. So I want this really to be stretched out as the movement is very, very fast. And the pace of this movement is determined by how many frames I'm gonna use in the per second. As if I use just a few drawings in 1 second, it may look less fluent and also slower. But what also is a very important factor of pace when it comes to animation is spacing between drawing. And this is exactly what we're doing here. Look at the space between this position where we have our foot here and this one. It's a lot of distance, and the more distance you have and the more spacing, the faster your animation is going to look like. And as faster the animation is, as more distortions and kind of motion blur, you want to bring in. See now, here the spacing gets lower as we want to ease in. You see the spacing from this one to this one is quite, they are very close. Here we get a little bit more distance here, because once we hit the point on top, it starts to get faster as he starts to accelerate when he's getting down with his foot. So here we have this one. Let's get down the opacity of our drawing as we have it until now. Don't want to see any onion skin here. So and by the way, thanks for the comment in the video, as this totally makes sense to, as we already have a illustrated character and we want to do some cartoony animation, you always may want to push the boundaries of your animation, exaggerate as much as possible. So this goes to funny teeth, I think, gave me the inspiration. So now I want to make sure I get the right perspective on the foot, and I think this one we can preserve that, keep it here. See. Okay. And now we take this foot, get it up here. It's getting interesting as we are overlapping now elements of character. We can leave it here. Let's. Okay. This should already be enough to see if it works. Yeah. It doesn't look actually too exaggerated, at least to me. Let's compare it with the other one. Yeah. No, so much better. Look at that. Nice. I actually like it. So cool teeth. If you're not in the chat right now and you see the video afterwards on the channel, thanks a lot for the recommendation and suggestion. And you were absolutely right. This looks way better. And let's see, we could now jump into cleaning. Let's do some cleanup. Here, for example, the leg. It looks all right. Okay. So I duplicate again the whole thing as I like those two drawings. And then I'm just gonna delete everything else, and we wanna just start from scratch using this. And I think this is probably the most fun or what I enjoy the most. Just not really doing a super clean thing, but getting in all the elements we want to see later and make animation already look like quite rendered, although in a sketchy style. Make sure that the legs are the right thickness so they don't look too thick. Want them skinny legs, as we want the shapes. We want to have some contrast in the shapes with the bulky torso of our character. All supported and lifted by some skinny legs. Here we're going to bring in the eyes. And let's see, do we have, yeah, we actually already have the secondary animation of the mustache. So this is basically just tracing in a little bit more, in a cleaner way. Socks. This pose is a little bit weird. The foot seems completely distorted. Okay. So let's see what we can talk about while I'm doing basically tracing of our rough animation. Let's talk about the weekend. Let's talk about the weather. This is interesting topic, totally animation related. No, I this weekend I started again to go a little bit through some of my books I tend to go to whenever I'm looking for some inspiration, as well thinking about what we could do next in our live stream. And I got my hands on some pretty weird book a while back, which is called The Human and Animal Locomotion Photography, which is basically, I think it's from the 19th century, and it's an insanely huge book. And what it is, it's like old photos of movement studies. So you have like random movements, like picking up a bucket and throwing out the water, in a photo stream where that actually just help as reference for movement. Back then, without any smartphones, those were quite helpful. Nowadays, you just act out whatever you want to animate, load it into your computer, and bam, you have your reference. But still, it's pretty helpful, and I like it a lot as it's kind of a like figure drawing practice, as you have those nudes doing all this weird activities, and I just try to capture their movement and basically do an animation test of whatever they do in the photo series. So you have like photo series of 8 to 16 photos of a certain movement or action that they do. So I thought that could be maybe interesting to use some references from there for next animation, for next chapter of Started Frame 1. Or if you have any suggestions, like we got the suggestion to do some skateboard trick the other day, and this is what we're doing right now. I'm totally open. If you're struggling with anything that you are right now animating, or you always wondered how certain things work, we can take a look together. I won't say that I know how to do it without knowing what you struggle with, but I will be more than happy to take a look, and we can see if we can resolve the problem. So here as well, feel free to contact me if you have any questions where you think that I could be of any use. Okay. So here as well, I want to really bend this leg to feel all the strength of the kicking. And let's see where we get in the sock. Probably here. I may want to switch to this view so you can actually see more of the canvas, what's going on here. I was wondering if anybody can recommend other animation streams that are out there. I would be very interested in that as well. Haven't found that much. the one that I do mostly, I watch some streams that are more drawing related. But haven't seen too much of animation. A very, very helpful, it's not really a stream, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with Motionographer. At least when I started off with motion graphics, this was the go-to page for any kind of inspiration. And they started a series that is, I'm not sure how it's called. I may check it out and then put it in the description. But what they actually did was a real-time, as it was a streaming, real-time step-by-step, I think it's called step-by-step, workflow where they just have a screen capture of random artists of the motion design industry, where you can see how they do this. And it helped me a ton, especially seeing that the amount of time that they are using. Because for me, it was always fascinating the quality of the animations some people do, thinking that they do it like in, I don't know, one day or whatever, like very quickly, because I thought like no client will ever pay that much time to actually, that I would need to do this kind of quality animation. And when I saw those step-by-steps and saw that those people are very, very talented, well, in terms of their idea of movement, how they can manage the software, and just know their theoretical skills. But they're humans and they need time as well. So when you see the step-by-step series, for me it was very comforting knowing like that what those big artists, how much time they need for certain shots. We sometimes see animation clips, although they are just a few minutes. But when you see for one take of this minute, two animators spend two whole days, it's quite fascinating. Thinking, having always thought like, oh well, this is one animator, he does this like in a few hours and just continues with the next shot. Okay. So the point is, animation takes time. And not only frame by frame animation. I mean any kind of animation. Because although you're good, you have a lot of experience, you always have to calculate some space for errors, some space for experimentation. Because at least I don't want to do the whole thing I've already done. And clients saw it, they want to have the same thing. But I always try to push it a little bit further and always build in some new thing that I haven't done before to make sure I always continue learning and challenging myself. If timeline allows it, if you have wiggle room for that kind of stuff, just experimentations and sometimes do this as well, like off clock, because you should always track your time when you work, especially for clients. But I also do it for personal projects. So once I finished a personal project and somebody approaches me and wants the same thing, then now I know how long actually it took it, and I can charge it accordingly. If you don't know how long it takes, it's difficult to tell a client how much it's gonna cost. Or you're gonna say it and really not sure if this is that much work. Or then you underbid your project and you have a ton of work that you're actually not paid for because you weren't conscious that it's that much work. So I try to track everything I'm doing. So later on, I can analyze. It's basically analyzing your own data. And make sure that even if it's a personal project, you gain experience, which also means knowing how long such things take. Okay. Here we won't see that much of the eyes. See, it's really crunched together. Here, always make sure that your lines have continuity, which means like even though you don't see them behind, or they're hidden behind an object, make sure they're consistent. So especially in illustration where you don't have movement, and this probably will not be that crucial and not visible. In animation, it's a little bit more forgiving. And we're getting to the suckers here. Now we see suckers everywhere. This guy's full of suckers. Mm-hmm. Again, missing the socks. Okay. Here, this one already blows up as the foot should start with the down movement. And to create secondary animation, we want to have this floppy end of the sock be bouncing around. Watching this side of the sock, and here I also want this to be dragging behind. Talking about exaggerating, cartoony elements. I think this cool teeth in the house. Don't know if you have seen it. We did the hardcore kicking as you suggested it. And it looks brilliant. All right. Okay, Cool Teeth likes it. That's what we wanted to hear. And as I said earlier, you were totally right. Your recommendation, pushing it further. made a difference. And therefore, I'm quite grateful, my friends. Okay, now we have to... Oh. We will have to start to look at the suckers here on the tentacles so they keep consistent in their position. But here we still have quite some movement, so it won't really matter, I think. Okay. See what else here is gonna be a sucker. Okay. Okay. Oh, by the way, there's also a Twitter account started frame one. And although I am not that much of a Twitterer or a tweeter, I was thinking about using Twitter more often whenever I spontaneously feel outside of our normal schedule to do some streaming. So it quite often happens that I'm sitting here doing what I'm doing right now, what I do, and thinking about streaming. Then I got like this dilemma, like we are not on schedule here, so I don't stream. But maybe I should stream besides the normal schedule and then have those spontaneous streamings. So if you think you would want to know about spontaneous streamings, make sure to follow Twitter as well. Started frame one. And until now, I think this is basically what I gonna tweet about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I started Twitter a few years back, but I only followed people and used it as some kind as a news feed. So I really didn't feel important enough to have something to say every half an hour. I'm struggling to get this 2-hour feed consistent talking here. So I definitely am not a tweeter. I don't know if you guys have any experiences with Twitter, or if you use Twitter, and especially as a, as a creative person, or as a person that that creates on a regular basis and makes a living out of it. You have to stay on top of all those social media platforms, and I find it quite difficult to. Now there's TikTok. Then I heard about some Clubhouse, and then you have whatever. I think I downloaded Snapchat once and opened it once, and then I never reopened it again. As I also get the feeling like if I would keep track of all those social medias, I wouldn't have time to do anything else. And I think the same is happening with this stream. We're gonna see where this is going, and then see which are the most convenient platforms in the future. Or just shoot every cannon and just stream on every platform there's out there. All right. I feel we get a little bit too how do you call it? I want those knees more limp or limber. Also, I have the feeling like those socks are getting longer and longer. Those are already stockings and not socks. We're getting there. Okay. Youpity doo. Here I probably want to get in more suckers as the movement now slows down, and we want to see them a little bit more in detail throughout the next drawings, and therefore as well in a slower motion in our animation. All right, we got 3 likes on the video. Way to go. And I think the last like just got hit by the remark of whoopity doo. So whoopity doo seems like something that attracts video likes. But thanks a lot for hitting the like button. It's always highly appreciated, and I'm working on some pretty cool stuff. Couldn't make it work though for today, but maybe on Wednesday there will already be a new feature on the stream. So hold your horses and buckle up. This stream is evolving, and you can be a part of this. Okay, sock. So our live stream today is gonna be until 4 p.m. Just to give you a heads up. And yeah, the spontaneous streams, they're probably gonna be announced in Twitter. They are most likely gonna be in the evening. Or not. So, if you sit at home all on your own, nothing to do during this pandemic, you finished your Netflix account, you saw every crappy series there is, there's nowhere left to go. Start at frame 1 is there for you. Every second day at 2 p.m. and maybe spontaneously as well during the nighttime with Tentacle Boys and with Pentacle Boy and his suckers. Well, I hope in the next few streams we're gonna make some new characters. I also thought about doing a stream just of character development, which would be basically only drawing. And we can then afterwards animate those characters in whatever way we decide. I've never animated facial expressions. That's something I would love to dive in. Which is not even, doesn't necessarily mean that it's characters that are talking. It's more or less like practicing facial expressions to get a certain emotion. Which I feel is pretty difficult. But one master is like if you watch Charlie Brown, those are amazing references for facial expressions, as they really reduced it to, how's it called? Give me a second. Here. Jean Schulz, he did outstanding work on the facial expressions of Charlie Brown, as it's basically reduced to some eyebrows and 2 dots that are representing the eyes, nothing else. And he gets every facial expression you can imagine just with those basic tools. And I would definitely like to work on my facial expression skills. In animation and real life, I don't have that much facial expressions, so I'd like to improve those. And animation is a good way to do that, as you maybe want to act out some facial expressions in order to get them right in your animation. In general, it's very, very crucial to have our reference videos like we had for this skateboard, for this kickflip. We did this all with references. And if you don't have a YouTube reference video or whatever reference you need, just act it out on your own. Right now I don't have any mirror here in the studio, but it's a good tool to have. Just sometimes you're not really sure how some movements, perspective, whatever look like, and by just looking in the mirror and doing this expression or movement or pose can help you out a lot. And when you read like about the golden days of Disney and Warner Bros., it seems like it was a crazy house back then. They were just few guys that basically only had fun and did weird stuff in their studios, acting out different kind of things they tried to animate. And as they didn't actually know how to animate or what it takes to make an appealing animation, I'm sure they did quite the weirdest stuff back then to analyze certain movements and perfecting their skills. Okay. Skateboard looks weird here. Looks like a snake board. No offense to the snakeboarders, but this is not what we attempt to do. This is a skateboarder. And he has a hell of a style. And that's basically, I totally forgot. This weekend, I went out with my skateboard, and I think I just, after analyzing the trick for the animation, I felt like, okay, let's do some kickflips. And as I have never been good at it, and haven't done a kickflip probably for the last 20 years, maybe not that much, but I really, really sucked badly. But it was fun, and I suppose that's the most important thing. And I blame it on the wheels, as I bought some kind of a long board. I bought a very, very what do you call it? It's like, I don't know if it's 9-inch big, the board. It's pretty massive. And then I got some kind of longboard wheels. So I blame it on the wheels, as they are bigger, and so you have to pop way harder to get the board up. So it's always good to have something to blame on when you're incapable of doing certain things. Okay. So here, talking about consistency, about the line. Now, this should be around here. And now I am not pretty sure if this should be behind the leg. I suppose, yeah. Perspective-wise, we won't see the mustache here. It's behind the leg. Right. But living here in Barcelona, you have amazing spots. Well, the most known is at the Museum for Contemporary Art, which is called MACBA. And although you may not know the place, but you're familiar with skateboard videos, I'm quite positive, like every second skateboard video, somebody does a trick at the MACBA. And when you go there during the day, in the evening, it's insane how many people are there and how good they are. Okay. So let's see. Here we probably gonna see some suckers. Oh no. Okay. Photoshop just starts to do it again, going nuts on me. Okay. Let's restart Photoshop. Okay. Whew. So here are gonna be some suckers. This is gonna be... This suckers everywhere. Oh, I drew on, of course, on our background layer, which is not the layer I want to be equipped with suckers. Okay, I'm gonna stop saying suckers. I think it's... I made it clear that I pretty much like the term for the tentacle things. Tentacle things. There we go with the wrong pronunciation again. And I really appreciate the suckers, but we're good. So we don't have any mustache here. So wow, okay. There are no details whatsoever. Here we lost our socks. Okay, and then afterwards we're gonna have this hideous cleanup process where we just draw over and over and over again. So if anybody out there is looking for some cleanup practice, hit me up. I will be more than happy to pass you the rough animation and you practice your cleanup. And as on all those chop offers, I at least demand 5 years of experience in this area as well. Cinema 4D knowledge is also a very big plus. Then I would like you to know HTML, CSS, and the whole Adobe Creative Cloud at least. And if this isn't enough, well, your work for now won't even be paid, but you get a lot of exposure. So if you are interested in growing in a dynamic young environment, this is the place to be. I'm now checking the length of his legs. I think we weren't too concerned about it until I now reach this point, and it seems like, as I was worried before, those socks get longer and longer. Well, look at this. Mm, mm, mhm, mhm. So maybe we want to bring it down a little bit. Oh man, I think I have to sneeze. Those times are so weird where you have to hide when you have to sneeze. Oh. And I'm afraid my microphone won't take it because I'm quite known for being a loud sneezer. And I think that is good because sneezing always felt to me, I really enjoy seeing people sneezing because it feels like this is the most honest moment you can get from a person, as they don't have any facial control when they sneeze. And that's why I would say I like sneezing. Let's see how the legs are coming. Here seems a little bit skinny, but that is because of the perspective. Huh. It's getting too far up there. Let's see the onion skin. Yeah, I think we have to shorten those legs. Mm-hmm. Okay. This tentacle. The suckers. Okay. Please. Let me mute the microphone for a second. And I'm back. Maybe we're gonna see some here. And we have to bring in our mustache. So here we have a up movement. So it should still be dragging behind and have the weight towards the floor. So like so. Right. Okay, I now gonna draw on top of our reference here and our guide, but knowing that I have to bring down the whole body afterwards. Just fine. Just want to make sure I have pose of the arms and okay. So now I check the onion skin. Okay. And I continue using the guide on my legs here. Okay. And see what's happening with the mustache. Okay. Although we don't see the top of his head, I think we want to see a little bit more the beanie here. And we have these wrinkles. Don't forget those. We have our wrinkles again. Okay. Now as he slightly rotates again towards his left shoulder, maybe the mustache is dragging behind and continuing its way to this side here out. And here we see the inner side of the tentacle, which means we see the sucker. So, he's now quite up high. So right here, so okay. Hmm. Hmm. So this is gonna be again the lower side of the tentacle. And here we bring in the arms. Now he's fully frontal view, but the mustache is still dragging to its right side. And we're gonna bring it down a little bit again. Wait, okay. Ankles. All right. And the board, we need the board. Let's see. All right. Take a closer look. We see any weird stuff going on? For now, looks all right. Missing some socks. No, that's not working. Mm. And we have sock. All right. Looking good. And we are ready for, well, the next step would be some in-betweens, those poses. As you see, those are all, every drawing is 2 frames. In our actual reference that we have here, you're gonna notice that we have movement on every frame. So well, you see the guide layer is, well, here we have even the guide on 2s, as this movement is slower, but then we start here to have on every frame a new drawing. So the next step would be in-betweening. And this is just to make the whole animation more fluent. As we have a very quick movement, we will be able to capture the whole detail, all the details in the movement. We're gonna be able to capture that in the animation when we animate it on once. So I would say, if there's not a spontaneous stream that will be announced on Twitter /StartedFrame1, we would do the in-between on Wednesday. So if you're interested in this process, It's gonna be Wednesday. If you say, oh no in-betweening, please get to the cleanup process. I'm a reasonable man. You can talk to me. Get in contact with me. Write on the comment section. Next stream, in between, next stream, cleanup, whatever you would like to see. And I adapt to your needs. That said, thanks very much for joining today. My name is Andy, by the way. After 2 hours looking at the guy with the creepy glove. I'm a freelance 2D animator and illustrator. I do basically what you just saw me doing for a living. Thanks a lot for joining me here. If you have any questions, suggestions, doubts, whatever related to animation, this stream, or maybe not even related to that, feel free to contact me, email, Instagram, Twitter, you name it. Hit the like button, subscribe, do all the stuff that you can do on these weird platforms. You help me out, so I can help you out. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.